Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you how to create an enum in Python. I actually just made this video to find out that I wasn't recording, so that's fun. We're going to start, I'm going to use PyCharm. It's a really nice editor for Python. I recommend it if you plan on using Python in the future. And we're going to create a project called Enums. Great, so now we have our project made. Let's clean this up a little bit. Create a main function that does essentially nothing, just to have it set up. And then we're gonna run main. Okay, cool. Unfortunately, Python does not have a built-in enum type, which means, the same way like that you can create a list by doing something like x equals that. Well, now x is a list. There's no way to do that in Python. It's also not like Java or C# where you can just create an enum by literally using the enum keyword and saying, okay, I'm gonna make an enum called direction and then put all my stuff here. It doesn't work like that. So the first thing I want to do is show you how you can make an enum, and then I'm going to show you why it's bad and show you a simple fix to make it a lot better. We're going to create a class called direction1.py. The reason why I'm calling it direction1 is it's going to be the bad version first. So it's going to be a very simple thing that we're going to do here. We're going to create a class called direction, and it's going to act as an enum for direction. So we're going to have north equal to 1, east equal to 2, south equal to 3, and west equal to 4. A common thing in most languages is that the enums will start, the values will start at 1 and build upward, increment by 1, and it'll normally be an integer. Let's leave it like this, and now let's test out this enum class that we made. We're going to create a variable direction1, and we're going to say that's going to be direction north. And now direction doesn't exist at the moment, and that is because we haven't imported it. So let's grab that. And now it exists. The first thing I want to mention is that if you look at the class and you see that north is equal to 1, well, north is essentially just a variable in the class, and it is being assigned to the integer 1. And so the way it works is that north is literally an integer and its value is 1. It's not a special class right now, it's literally just the value 1, and I'll show you that. That is going to print out 1, and we're also going to print out its type just to make sure. And you'll see. Okay, so yes, direction1 is 1 and it is an int. Great. Now let's move forward and create another direction variable, direction2, and then let's see that direction1 and direction2 are equal to each other. They should be. They're both the value 1, so they should be equal to each other because direction1 is equal to direction.north. So this is 1, same thing as doing this. This is also the same thing as doing this. So 1 is equal to 1. Great. Makes sense. But the one thing as a programmer that you always want to be aware of is side effects when you code, or preventing yourself or preventing other developers maybe working on the same code base as you from making mistakes. You want to assume that the other developers will make mistakes and try to plan for it. You want to make your code robust and strong. So there's a problem with our code right now, and that's that we can actually change the value of direction.north. So now let's say I want to change the value to be something like 100. In this class, you're going to see like the north started out as a value 1, but now it's changed to 100 because of this line. And so when I want to compare direction 1 to direction.north now, they're not going to be the same because direction 1, its value is 1, and direction.north, its value is now 100. This is bad. This means that if you create an enum class, the way we just did, and you start using it and it works fine, but then somewhere in your code you actually change the value of north, well, from now on all your other directions that were north will not be equal to north anymore. We don't want that. It's risky and it can cause problems that we don't want. So let's be smart and find a way to deal with this. So I'm going to create a new file called direction2, and this is going to be the good version. So let's copy our code from direction1, and then the fix is very, very simple. Python has a module that you should already be able to use when you install Python, and it's called Enum. And from there you want to import this Enum class, and all you want to do is make direction a subclass of this Enum class, and this will solve all of your problems, and I will show you why. So let's go back to main, and now let's use direction2. I'm going to comment this out because I'll show you why in a second. So now you're going to see some differences to what we saw before. You're going to see that now that direction is no longer an integer. It is actually direction.north when you print it, and its type is an enum direction. The good thing is that when you say direction1 equals direction.north here, and you make another direction and set it to direction.north, well, when you compare them, they're still the same value. So that's great because you don't want them to be different when you compare. Now I'm going to delete this line, and I want to show you why this change was so great. I'm going to run this, and you're going to see that it fails. So we can now no longer assign the value of direction.north, which means that we won't allow developers to come along and accidentally change this value. They won't be able to make this value something else. Direction.north will always be 1. The other thing we might want to know is how to actually get the value from like the variable direction1. So down here, let's delete all this. And now down here, so when we want to print direction1, let's do it again. When we print it, it's going to say direction.north. But what if we want to get the value of direction.north? Well, it's very simple. We can just say direction1.value. And that's how we grab the value from it. So now we have 1. It's not maybe very meaningful right now, but the cool thing is that you can assign the value to something more useful. Let's make it a string, north. We run it, and now we see the value is north. And this could be very useful in the scenario where you're using an API and it gives you a direction somehow. When you grab back that value, you might want to pass around the enum object, but you might want to use that value in certain circumstances, like printing values out or displaying the value to a user or whatever the reason may be. It has that use. And the cool thing is, like I said, you can make, let's go back here, you can make the value whatever you want. It could be a list if you really wanted it to. So now that you know how to get the value out of direction1, and we know that we can't change the value of direction.north, I also want to show you that we can't change the value of direction1. We can't come in here and say, okay, let's make this value 200 or something. It's going to get mad. And at this point, you may realize something interesting. Direction1 is actually the same object as direction.north. They're not just equal to each other, as you saw earlier, and I'll show you again. It's true that they're equal to each other, but they're not just equal to each other, they are the exact same object. And we can test that by doing this. And this is going to come back as true. From this, we can now actually say that doing this is the exact same thing as doing this, because direction1 and direction.north are the exact same object. When you create direction1 and you assign it direction.north, it's just adding another reference to this object. This can also be very nice because it eliminates the need to create more objects when you want to use the enum. In conclusion, I hope that you've learned that using the enum class that Python 3 should have is going to make your code a lot better when you want to create an enum in Python. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not a built-in type the way a list is, but you can still achieve a similar enum feel as you would in C# or Java or some other language by using this enum class. And it also, by using this class, it saves you a lot of work in ensuring that your code base is robust and resistant to different problems or side effects that another developer may cause, or even you may cause. And so I hope you've learned something today. And the last thing I want to ask is if you think that Python should make a special keyword, enum, so that instead of having to do this, you could just change it to something like that. Kind of how you would in another language like Java or C#. Is this something that you think Python and the developers at Python should implement or not? Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to see what you think. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.